Hello, everybody. Let's gather up, and we're going to gather up in this room first, okay? Don't bother to go into the theater. We're going to do a little bit of the program here, and then we'll move into the theater. Our guest has got some great graphics she wants to show us and tell us about. But anyway, so welcome to our session today, Lehigh Valley Humanists. Should we go on? I guess, does everybody know everybody? There's still a few people here that are new and don't know each other. Should we? All right. So let's see. So I'm Jim, and I'm on the board. We don't have a president. We have a board that runs our program. So in terms of introducing our guest speaker, I'm really glad to have Lisa here. We'd like to thank Pat Devine, who knew Lisa. And Lisa knows a lot of the old-timers around here. So she's like coming back for Old Home Week here a little bit. She's been a member of the New Jersey Humanist Network since 2002 and has served as president for over 20 years. What if we could draft her here? We could use a president, right? She's responsible for planning programs, community outreach, and social activities, the New Jersey Humanist Network Scholarship, Secular Student Scholarship, and other fundraising efforts, as well as promoting NJHN in communities and on social media. She's committed to building a positive, productive humanist community in New Jersey and working with other organizations to achieve that goal, especially now with the challenges we face in the divided society. Originally from the Midwest, Indiana, where I'm from, Lisa moved to New Jersey in 2001 and currently lives in Ewing Township, or Ewing, which is in Mercer County near Trenton, with her partner Tim and their 4 very lovely cats. Welcome, Lisa, and we're doing this way because Lisa's got some great graphics, and she has a story to tell you about it.
Oh.
And later on, we'll take a look at them. Lisa,
okay.
I guess you're going to work with that.
I can hear myself now. I'm not used to this, but normally nobody in my entire life has ever said they couldn't hear me, except my husband when we're at home. But I know with that thing going on over there, so first of all, I'm going to tell you, yes, my name is Lisa Ridge. I do not have prepared words to read to you because that would keep my head down all the time. And if I can't tell you the story of New Jersey Humanist Network without reading it off of a piece of paper, then we're in trouble. But I wasn't prepared for starting over here necessarily, but Jim, I brought this as sort of just a show and tell kind of thing to show you these are the kinds of things that we have out at our meetings and also when we do tabling events at, around the state. And in particular, Jim wanted me to talk about this, what is humanism, which is a new campaign that was started by Humanists UK. And I had just started promoting it on our social media and in our e-newsletter when Tim and I left for 2 weeks in Ireland at the beginning of October. But we had a tabling event scheduled in Franklin Township, which is in Somerset, New Jersey, which is where a large part of our base is, members are, and where we often have program meetings there. And I was going to be away, so this was going to be our first tabling event without me there, and they were sort of on their own for what they were going to what they were going to say to people who came up to the table and how they were going to present NJHN. And one of our board members said, "What about this new Humanist UK program and the graphics they have?" And he had this idea, and so it's a variety of little, short little things, right, that tell you what humanism is, who are humanists, how do we think about the world. And I'm in Ireland, and I'm following by email, sort of, what they're doing. I'm like, I'm only gonna respond if you need intervention, my intervention or a decision sort of thing. And they're like, let's make up this thing with an 8.5 by 11. Flyers and on a rotating thing, and then let's make up these little cards. Now, the text is small, but it has to be big enough so it can be read. And then what will we put on the back? And here's where we can get them made, and how much will it cost? And I was like, you all go. I mean, I'm going to go way more often because this is all great. And I came back, and then the first meeting we had where I saw these things, I thought, you guys did a fantastic job, you know. So there are different ones. What is humanism? Who are humanists? How do humanists find meaning in life? What do humanists think about death? What do humanists think about human beings? How do humanists tell right from wrong? How do humanists understand the world? What kind of world do humanists want? And what are humanist organizations? And so they made up these little packs of 9 cards that people could take. And so this is the first time that I'm showing them, you know, outside of NJHN. And, you know, we usually have something up there that colorful is, and my theme is colorful, as you're going to see from the slide presentation. So I try to find things that are colorful. Of course, this is the 10 commitments, the cards that you can get from the American Humanist Association. This is something, we have a vertical banner that's the large version of this that has a QR code at the bottom. And then we finally did abandon business cards and went to, you know, somebody who has more graphic experience than me said, do these, which gives you a lot more information and just a QR code that sends you to our website. So these are the kind of things we have available when we do tabling. So, and I think that's it for that.
Yeah.
And you know, this stuff gets made by us at Staples, and so we don't spend a lot of money. We obviously these cards we get made from a local print shop where near where I live, because the great thing, I mean, you know, the online is cheaper, but we all know the supporting local business is better. Plus, I can walk in there and say, I need this thing and I need it this Saturday. And then he's never let me down, so, and
Service sells.
yeah.
Right.
So,
right.
but we do have an online shop for T-shirts and hats and mugs and things like that.
Good.
So,
well, I guess we'll leave this up here, and when you're
Yes.
at the end of the program, come back and take a look and read and
and I do
enjoy.
have some of these packs that we can give you guys today, and then we'll just go make more. Get that out of the way. Okay. This is where I tell you that in conversations between Pat and Jim, and I was struggling so hard to come up with a pithy title for a talk, right? And I did something that I've almost never done before, and that was I used ChatGPT. Yes, I did. And after 3 tries, and it was like, how formal do you want it to be? How informal do you want it to be? How cutesy do you want it to be? I started seeing things like bridging the Delaware, and I was like, I would never have come up with that. So the pithy little title came from ChatGPT. So I'm just going to tell you up front that most of you I've never met before. A few of you I know very well, and but I have been here before, not in this venue, but I have spoken to Lehigh Valley Humanists before, and it was October 6, 2013. That's me being interviewed by Darren Smith. I forget what I think this is upstairs of a bar, or it was at a bar in 2013. And Tim and I had just gotten back from a cruise up the coast of New England and Nova Scotia, where I got that YOLO T-shirt, which was actually the first time I'd ever heard that phrase, you only live once. So this is my second time speaking to Lehigh Valley Humanists, and thank you very much for inviting me and having me. So New Jersey Humanist Network and Lehigh Valley Humanists have a pretty significant connection, and that is that 2 NJHN founding members are also Lehigh Valley Humanist founding members. And that would be Harley Brown, who was the longtime president of NJHN before me, and Joe Fox, who, as we all know, died in 2012. But these two guys were instrumental to everything that NJHN was when Tim and I founded in at the end of 2001. And, you know, Joe, they both moved from New Jersey into Pennsylvania and both wanted humanist community where they were living. And Joe originally moved to the Willow Grove or somewhere where he sort of reinvigorated the Humanist Association of Greater Philadelphia, and then helped found LVH. So, New Jersey Humanist Network is a secular humanist community. We used to say we were based in central New Jersey, in Somerset County. That's not where it was originally started. It was really originally started up where Harley lived, in Warren County. And then where they used to gather in each other's homes and write letters to the editor when some article that, you know, was definitely showing religious privilege. And they started getting, this was pre-internet, right? And you were putting ads in the paper and sort of announcements in the newspapers. And they started getting more and more people from slightly farther distances. And eventually, I think, I remember Arnie, the story I remember being told was that they sort of gathered up the people who were showing up at the meetings, and they put, like, Arnie put pins in a map where everybody was, and then looked for a central location, and that turned out to be Bridgewater in Somerset County. And so that's where they were meeting when Tim and I found them, which was after September 11th. And all of that was then doing the typed newsletters and in the old days. It was established in 1994. So we just celebrated our 30th anniversary last year. And that's just a couple of pictures of gatherings. I'm going to show you, I'm just going to show you a lot of graphics. And you don't need to read each and every one, but I'm happy to share all of this with John or Jim or whoever wants, so that you can just see. I'm going to show you the kinds of events that we have. So here we go, monthly programs, all kinds of stuff. You'll see there'll be a list up here. It's not exhaustive, but it's also too much for you guys to read from where you are. But I'm happy to share this, all the different kinds of meetings we've had, where individuals giving talks. We also have, obviously, we show some videos and documentaries, and we've had discussion groups in the past. And we've had some pretty well-known speakers and some, you know, local college professors. NJHN is very lucky to have some great colleges and universities to pull speakers and experts from. That's one of the best advantages NJHN has. And I'll point out back in November after the election, we had, you know, nobody wanted to have a meeting of any kind for any reason, but we decided to have something that we called Moving Forward Together, which was, you know, just getting together for community support, understanding, and discussion about the days ahead. And it turned out to be very, you know, it was a very cathartic experience for us, where people were able to express their anger and their fear. And a couple of people in the room, you know, you can always count on to be hopeful. Not me, of course. So, and then the different kind of organizations that we've sponsored or supported before, SNAP, which is Survivors Network of Those Abused by Priests, and Moms Demand Action, and trying to stay in touch with their local indigenous groups that are in the area. So, and this is like I said, this is a pretty long list, and the thing I like about it is it's just diversity of, all the things, which I'm sure I see what kind of programs and speakers you guys have. You're doing the same thing, trying to get, it's not, we're pretty much past the, is there a God? Is religion a force for good in the world? But, we have evolved into concerns about Christian nationalism and the importance of ex-evangelical voices and, just all the possible things. I don't know how much of that you can see, but...
Can I ask about
Monster
monster hunting?
hunting. Right, well, in particular, so Brian Regal is a professor of the history of science at Kean University. He's one of our favorite speakers. And you can see him on TV occasionally on some of those channels that I'm sure none of us watch, like the History Channel and the Learning Channel and but about aliens and what's the one, the Bigfoot. So he's kind of an expert on that, and also the Jersey Devil, right? And the actual history of the Jersey Devil, which is, sort of like the history of the Salem witch trials, turns out to all be local landowners and politics, is how that came about. So the different kinds of things we do for community, which are the same kinds of things you guys do here, although we don't do online games. I've never been able to figure that out, but I'm definitely willing to listen. But sometimes we've had just a program of everybody bringing different kinds of games and everybody settling in. We do an art and hobby show now. This is we started that during COVID, where it was online. It was just like, show us what you're doing, what hobbies what are you doing to keep from going insane, and then once we started getting back together, it turned into an actual, in-person event, and it's incredible. It really is one of our most well-attended events in terms of not just the people who show up to look at what other people are doing, but now this last year, Pat was there, and Pat presented some of the work that she's been doing, but the different types of creativity that our own members have has been very popular. We've had Darwin Day parties. We've had more formal Darwin Day events where we've had a speaker, and we've also just had, cake and trivia games. This is picture at the bottom is one of our picnics. Over there on the right is a Light the Night Walk fundraiser we've done for the Lymphoma and Leukemia Society, or Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. We've done bowling fundraisers for the New Jersey Abortion Access Fund, and some tabling events. That's one of our tabling at a Pride event in Asbury Park. Let's see. So we have what we call NJHN Community Cares, which is a way for us to stay in contact with our members, to celebrate with them on their birthdays or their anniversaries or their graduations or birth of children or new jobs or divorce, whatever you want to celebrate. and then also in times when they need support, where they've been ill or injured or need support, there's been a death of a loved one. And so we have that. We try to get people to give us these dates or this information, and sometimes it just comes in haphazardly. But if it's, we send cards for, what do we send cards for? We send cards for if you've been ill or injured or had surgery, and we send sympathy cards, but mostly we send emails. Right? If we have the dates, we send emails, and this is sort of the graphics of what the emails look like. So yes, that's a very busy picture, probably way too busy. But this is some of the things that we get when we do the summer art and hobby show, which we have people who are quilters and crocheters and knitters, and they make jams, they make jewelry. This is hard to see. I don't know. I think I have a pointer. Do I have a pointer thing? I don't know how this works. Oh, I'm afraid I might be turning something off. I don't really know how to point. Here, this is anybody familiar with the Cube? Cube is a game. It's sort of like a lawn game that comes out of one of the Nordic countries. I have not played it, but we have members who have gotten together one makes them and the other one paints them, and then so when we have a picnic or something like that, it's one of the lawn games that everybody plays. People are either very good with growing things or taking pictures of growing things. So there's that. And then we have folks that paint. In here, up here at the top, this is Pat. This is Pat's work. The seven deadly sins, and during the Trump era. So, if you haven't seen that, make sure you figure out how to get Pat and Mary Dale also presented at that this earlier this year, and that's Gary Brill, who's also one of NJHN's founding members. He's still our vice president, and Gary likes to learn new instruments. And I don't remember what that's called, but it's sort of like a little bell thing. He plays it with a drumstick, but it makes, he can play little songs on it. I forget what it's called. I'm sorry. These are some of our other monthly events, although our Exploring Humanism course is currently sort of on hiatus. But we went through first the AHA, American Humanist Association, has this basic online course about humanism, and we worked our way through that, and then we worked our way through the 10 Commitments, which hopefully most of you guys are familiar with, that the AHA came up with. There's also, they have online resources for doing that as well. So, and then since then we've been sort of on a hiatus, but we have a monthly dinner, which I know you guys all have a monthly event where you get together. And at one of those we did, in 2024, we did a voter registration postcard party, which was something where the AHA provided all of the postcards and the mailing list of people they were targeting in Pennsylvania. And then we also have a book club, which we've been wanting to do a book club for, over a decade, but we couldn't figure it out as easily as you guys have, because we weren't always, right? Harley knows this. We weren't always considered a statewide organization, but our members now come from the top, the top of the northern part of the state to the bottom of the southern part of the state. And so having a book club where you meet in one place has never been very easy. Most places are noisy and crowded in New Jersey, and we don't have a lot of bookstores that have like little meeting rooms at the top. It's one thing I've always envied about when the Humanist Association of Greater Philadelphia existed, and you guys to have places to have your book clubs. So it was one of the best things that happened to us because of COVID, was that we decided we could do an online book club. Then we couldn't figure out why we hadn't been doing an online book club for a long time. And so the last several years we do an online book club. Now our book club only reads nonfiction. And we just finished reading the book Fluke by Brian Klass, and then because our book club is always the fourth Thursday in November, that means we're always postponing it or changing the date of it. And so then last year we decided to do a longer read for November and December. So we pick a longer book. You know, this one's 500 pages, so Thinking Fast and Slow, which is, been out since 2011, but a very good book about how we have dual thought processes, right? One that thinks fast and one that thinks a little slower, and how they're both good for us. So this is something that I am definitely very proud of and think that would be an interesting thing for LVH to consider, and trying to answer that question: how do we bring younger people to our group and to our meetings? And I had told both Pat and Jim, well, when we get that figured out, it'll be good for NJHN too. And I attend a lot of humanist group leader webinars, and everybody's asking the same question. Not just how do we bring younger people to our organization, but how do we bring a more diverse group of people to and it's the question we're all asking, and we're all looking for answers. So one of the things that we did starting in 2023 was we began to sponsor a secular student scholarship in coordination with the Secular Student Alliance. And so we offer a $1,000 scholarship every year. The qualifications seem to be a little bit cloudy, but it's either offering it to a student from New Jersey who's going to be attending, it could be a college, a university, community college, or trade school in the fall. Or it could be that it's a student who's going to be attending a school in a school in New Jersey. We can't seem to decide what we want. What we're hoping, and I can't speak, I don't know about Pennsylvania, but in New Jersey, there have been Secular Student Alliance chapters on different campuses, but they don't last. They pretty much all died out during COVID, but they only last as long as the active members, at the university, and they don't seem to be any better at developing leadership beyond the current leaders any better than we do. So there aren't currently any Secular Student Alliance chapters in New Jersey, although at college campuses, although there appears to be one at a high school, which we have not, we've not had any interaction with them, and we'd like to, but we have to be careful, right? We don't want to. We wouldn't want to go in there and sort of like, let us tell you what to do, kind of a thing. But we also do want the students to know that we're here if we can help in any way. So we started this scholarship. So there are our 3 recipients starting in 2023. Tinashe was a graduate student at Rutgers, Newark. Christian was a graduate student at the Princeton Theological Seminary. He had done his undergraduate work at Moody Bible College, where he discovered that he didn't agree with anything that he was being taught there. So, and Shreya is our recipient this year. She is a health science major at Stockton University. And now, with the graduate students, you're not likely to get them to start a college campus of the Secular Student Alliance. But eventually, that is our hope, is that some of our scholarship recipients will be inclined or find the time or to help start campus chapters. So, and I don't know if you guys do a newsletter. What I discovered last night was that if you do, I'm not subscribed to it, and I would definitely change that. But we've been doing an e-newsletter now for a long, long time. It only goes out once a month, maybe twice if something comes up during the month that we haven't shared. This is hard to see, I know, but so this is just basically our upcoming events. We kind of let people know in advance, save these dates, because some folk, sometimes we get behind, let's say I get behind in letting people know how soon an event is coming up. Oh, I wish I had known. And so I do sort of a save the date kind of a thing. And then I let folks know about events or action alerts that are going on with some of the national organizations. Not everybody is as plugged into that kind of activism that I am. And then there's a little bit about our, we have a shop, and then always asking people to become members, letting them know about our Community Cares program, where they can find us on social media. So that goes out once, maybe twice a month. And goes without saying that anybody who subscribes to that, their email address, doesn't ever get sold, or, we don't even have ads on our website or have any interaction with third-party people. So nobody's email address is ever going anywhere outside of NJHN. Human Light. I know folks are mostly familiar with Human Light, which is, it's a humanist holiday that we celebrate during the December holiday season. Can't say winter season because some people are celebrating it in the Southern Hemisphere. NJHN founded the concept of Human Light back in 2001, Joe Fox and Gary Brill, to focus on positive, secular, human, there's probably supposed to say humanist, values of reason, compassion, humanity, and hope. And it's celebrated by many organizations around the country and also around the world. Our event usually, it has evolved as well over the years, and it's become the simple thing for us to have a brunch event at a venue that already has a Sunday sort of a brunch thing. It has had keynote speakers and live entertainment, and over the years, people are sort of like, some folks, it's their one time of the year because they lived far away from where our programs are. And it's either the picnic or Human Light is the one time of the year they come and spend time with folks they haven't seen for a long time or meet new folks. And it now generally includes what we have is a holiday card exchange which we started during COVID. And maybe I was just speaking for myself, but I can remember sending cards that didn't have any kind of religious message on them or whatever. And I can also remember when I wasn't sending out any cards, and I also wasn't receiving any cards. But every once in a while, I'd get one from, the vet's office or something, and it would come in the mail, and I'd be so excited. I have a card. Look, it's lovely. I'm going to put it up on the wall. And so we started to do this to just as another way to try to stay connected. And I can't even tell you how happy it made me to like get a card for like a 2-week period in late November, early December, to get a card in the mail every day in a red envelope or some, something that had, glitter on it, which is, well, that's something different. But, and so surprisingly enough, I wasn't alone, and a lot of other people participate in it. And so you have to be a dues-paying member to participate, because we are going to share going to send out a list with people's home addresses. And then we also have a silent auction fundraiser. It didn't used to be silent, right? It used to be at our Human Light event, and but then during COVID, it became an online silent auction, and we've kept it that way. We get donations, like I showed you in the art and hobby show slide. We have a lot of very talented people with handcrafts and things like that, but we also accept, donations of science-themed or, it's educational themed games and books, and children's books, and people are always welcome to donate a big batch of their best holiday cakes or cookies or whatever, and then we hold a silent auction. It generally raises about $400 or $500, which, when I tell you about the Human Light, if you've planned events at restaurant venues before, it can get kind of pricey, and some folks might not come because it's too expensive for them. And so the silent auction fundraiser is one of the ways that we can allow for people to come at either a reduced cost or for free. And all they have to do is ask me. There's no, and the answer is automatically yes. There's no judgment, or, there's no committee that has to decide any of that. And even if we don't raise enough money to cover that cost, that doesn't matter either, right? So, and then there's always some kind of a donation, whether it's for a food bank or a meal service or hygiene products, distribution program, and now more recently, donations of pet food that we can donate to programs like Meals on Wheels, the ones that do have pet food programs, which, the first time I heard that, it was like, it makes absolutely perfect sense, and I don't know why I hadn't thought of it before. But, people who are in need of food assistance also have pets. So,
Question. I want to make sure I'm understanding this. To attend the Human Light celebration on December 14th,
yes.
we don't have to be a dues member.
Nope, not at all. You don't have to be a dues-paying member.
I can fit 4 people.
So that graphic up there is from,
You're going to be there?
yes.
Okay.
That graphic up there is from 2024, because we haven't made the 2025 one yet, but yes, it will be December 14th at the Stony Brook Grill in Branchburg. So there's that. Different organizations, national organizations that or some local, that we support, that I'm sure you guys know about and do as well. I'm not going to name them all, but NJHN was also involved in the forming of Red Bank Humanists, which is in Red Bank, New Jersey. It turns out that a couple of folks from the Red Bank area came to one of our picnics all the way up at Schooley's Mountain Park, right, in Morris County, and found out that they, were both from the Monmouth or Ocean County area, and started to have a conversation about maybe we could start a group down there, and, maybe Lisa and Tim and a couple other folks could help us figure that out, and we did, and they've been going strong for a long time as well. So, and then that's our spread shop. We did we formed a committee to find an online shop that we wanted to use, and of course, it had to meet some requirements that we had in terms of their business practices, where the clothes are manufactured, and we picked Spread Shop out of all the ones. We had a shop for a while that was, I'm going to forget the word, but if you got enough orders together, then they would do a run of T-shirts and stuff. Well, we would have people that would order T-shirts in April, and we still didn't have enough for an order by the end of the year. So we were like, we can't keep doing that. So we wound up at Spread Shop. It's a good fundraiser for us. We have lots of different designs. We have some good graphic design folks in our group that volunteer their services, and we've also paid for some other, things that, because we do believe that people with these kind of skills deserve to be paid for their work. We have different designs. We have a sort of one it's the circular one, but sort of in a rainbow or pride design, and we have human light merchandise. And I should just mention that if you'd like any NJHN merchandise, there's a sale, 20% off everything through today. This is our program for later this month. This is something totally different that we haven't had before, but when you're always trying to think outside the box. This is Carol Simon Levin, and she is like she's a librarian, an author, a historian, and a storyteller, and she primarily tells stories of famous women in history and famous women in science, women that history has forgotten. I don't think anybody has forgotten Frances Perkins, but she's going to do a live portrayal of Frances Perkins, who was the first woman cabinet member. She was the Secretary of Labor under President Roosevelt from 1933 to 1945. She's largely considered the mother of the New Deal. When she didn't want to join his cabinet, and he was very adamant about it, and she said, well, if I do, these are the programs that I want you to support. And it was all the programs of the New Deal, and she was largely very successful in doing that.
You say live presentation, you mean a first person presentation?
Yes, she'll be there in person. And a lot of our events, a lot of our program meetings are hybrid. We don't pretend to do it very well. And there's always lots of glitches and problems on one end or another. And luckily, our members are pretty forgiving, and I get very frustrated. Like each month, we should be figuring it out a little better, but then each month it's a little bit different. Sometimes the speaker is in person, sometimes the speaker is on Zoom. Sometimes they want to move around, and we need them to stand right in front of a laptop, and so it's always constantly a learning curve. Okay, it is for me. But in this instance, it will be an in-person event only, although we are going to record it, and we might feel that it's good enough recording to put on our YouTube page. So that's pretty exciting, I think. And then this is the same thing as the little board out front about becoming an NJHN member, and the benefits it gets you, which is $5 off of any of our paid events, which we don't have very many paid events. The community support that we talked about, and obviously the very exciting thing about voting rights, because we are our own 501c3. We are a nonprofit corporation, and we do have corporate bylaws that pretty much require us to, everything we do has to be with the approval of our members. Oh, the leadership opportunities. And we have had some member-only events, not very many. The last one we had is when we had Seth Andrews from the Thinking Atheist, and the after event to hang out with Seth so he could tell you funny stories was members only. And then we have dues, many different confusing, redundant dues levels, including an introductory level, which we started, which you only get to be an introductory member for 1 year. And it has turned out to be pretty successful. More, I would say, probably 75% of the folks who take the 1 year introductory members then renew. And some don't. Some checked us out for a year and decided, we weren't what they were looking for. And then there are sustaining levels. The one thing that I talked to Jim about is, no, we don't have a life membership level, but after talking to Jim, I'm like, well, I don't know, maybe we should consider it. And we have a limited income or student, college student level. So, and then you can find us on social media in all these places: Facebook, Blue Sky, YouTube, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, LinkedIn, and we have a Guide Star profile, which is for charitable organizations. That's where you can find us there. What I want to say is we have a fairly active Facebook private group, and we have also have a public page there, so that people who might be looking for humanism in New Jersey will find us there. Our events are always published there. The private group is where most of our discussions happen, and we have some folks there. We decided to keep it private because we have some folks there who post who, if their family members or even, employers should happen to find that they've posted in the group, particularly if they're ex-Muslim or ex-Jehovah's Witness, it could have ramifications for them. So that is a private group. We used to be on Twitter. We stopped being on Twitter. So we have a profile on Blue Sky. Our YouTube channel is so terribly neglected. And yes, we are on Instagram, Threads, TikTok, and LinkedIn, but you won't find anything very much there, but you'll find us. And then it could lead you to our website where it's pretty active and updated. And that is it. Thank you so much for having me. I'm looking.
If anyone has any questions, please get in the microphone so we can record it. John, with backup of Ryan, we have really good technology here and almost no glitches at all, so we're really proud of that.
Yeah, which we don't have, but we're going to actually be trying it this month. So, what should I do?
Okay, I've got the first question. Is this working? Yes?
I think so.
Okay.
I can hear you.
Okay. My thoughts in inviting you, other than getting to see you, of course, is how we can connect.
Right.
We're really, I know we're a distance, but it's not that great a distance. Even twice a year, if we could do something together, whether it's a picnic or like the Human Light. So that's what I'm just wondering, if people have ideas about how we can work with New Jersey and you folks working with us.
The distance is formidable. It was, we live in Mercer County, which is here on the western side of New Jersey, and it was an hour and 20-minute drive for us. We have some members in Hunterdon County. I'm trying to think if we have any in Warren and Sussex. If we do, it would be one.
Yeah, Sussex wouldn't, is
But
too
most
far
of our
out.
members are in Somerset, Mercer, and Middlesex County, and then we have some in Atlantic County, and then it goes northeast from there. And this conversation has been had so many times over the years, and including with Red Bank. There used to be a North Jersey Humanist, but they disbanded during COVID. There's a West Jersey group that's used to be based in Camden, but they've sort of grown. They used to be called Camden County Humanists, but then they include Gloucester and they include Salem, and so they changed their name to West Jersey Humanists. Some of us in the leadership roles of those groups have had conversations about a one-day or a one-weekend conference where we talk about regional issues. Because, well, not speaking for South Jersey, but our issues are often not the same as other groups have in other states, right? We're not under, I can't speak for Pennsylvania or this part of Pennsylvania, but I do know some of the issues that happen in Pennsylvania. But in New Jersey, we're not under constant threat, right? We spend a lot more time thanking our state legislators and our Congress people and senators. But we do definitely have a pretty serious religious exemption issue in New Jersey because the Jewish and Catholic lobbies are very powerful in the state. And so they fought against death with dignity for many years and some other issues, vaccine exemptions and things like that. So we've talked about that, but we never get past the talking stage. And I think it would probably be fairly easy to get some grant money now at the national level. Yeah. Right, Jim? Yep. Right, Jim? Yep. To put on some of those kinds of events. But I think there are other coordinated events that we could do. We could have a month where all of our groups are, doing some kind of a drive for, due to food insecurity issues or climate issues or those kind of things where we could coordinate that way. But I hear what you're saying about the opportunity to get together, and I'm willing to drive. I am, wherever our monthly programs are anyway, it's at least 45-minute to close to an hour drive for me anyway, and has been for decades, so.
Incompetent regarding
No, you're not.
consumers. Computer.
Computers.
I can't even say it. Computer stuff. But is there some way that New Jersey and Lehigh Valley can hook together and share what's going on in the different? Is that a possibility?
Absolutely.
We need to put together a newsletter. It would be good.
Yeah.
Well, I just want you to know our newsletter, I'm just going to say it to the whole world because I know this is going up on YouTube. We do everything we possibly can for free. The newsletter that we send out is using MailChimp's free account. Now, are there sometimes things we want to do where I click a button and they're like, oh, you got to have a paid account for that. You see that all the time. Yes. Can we send out surveys using SurveyMonkey? For free? Yes. Are we limited in how many questions we can ask or how much information we can gather? Yes. Most of our meetings are held at public libraries. Does that limit the days that we can have our program meetings and how, what hours they are? Yes. And after talking to you about this space, I'm like, man, it would be great if we had an option like that. And I don't think NJHN has we just don't have the bank account that you guys do. And you guys have had some very positive experiences with raising money or having life memberships. But we have a good amount of money. We pay our speakers. We don't pay all of our speakers, but we can pay an honorarium to our speakers. And it can be more than 200, can be. We did pay one speaker $500.
Yeah, people like Seth are not coming for $10.
Actually, we paid the Nanticoke, Lenape, PhD student $500 towards their tribal, tribal organization. But if you need the language that I use to get speakers down from their very large amount of money that they usually get to something a little more reasonable for us, usually involves me saying, up to a certain amount I have leeway, but at some point I might have to consult my board of directors for approval, and so then sometimes the fee comes down. We often will pay. We will often be asked to pay the organization that this person represents rather than them personally.
Right.
Obviously, we treat them all to a meal, and and we're just lucky. We're just lucky to have a great pool of college professors who, this is a course that they've been teaching, and they're happy to have. They're not. Some of them are not used to speaking to a group. So, obviously to the students, but they don't get invited to speak to nonprofit groups. So.
Are there any other questions that anyone has? Yeah, here,
What can I tell you?
I can talk very loudly.
Use the microphone.
Yeah.
Recording.
It's for the tube.
Okay, which I've never been on, so I have no idea. Just in thinking on, I'm very new to this, but is there a way that if you're having an in-person discussion, but to foster a relationship between New Jersey and Lehigh Valley, can we pay some money and then be able to view or be part of, by Zoom, those meetings that you are conducting, and in turn, we would offer that same option to the members in New Jersey, because we are so close and regionally, but
Absolutely.
we might not want to drive an hour and a half, because I did it for 3 years.
And you don't even have to pay money. You can do it for free. All of our programs are, what's the language? Free and open to the public. Because most of our programs are presented at the public library, they have to be free and open to the public. And we're happy to have that. And yes, any of you could attend any of our Zoom programs, our book club. And one of the ways we could do something coordinated, Pat, would be via Zoom. And that doesn't get you that in-person experience, and it doesn't get you to the after the meeting lunch, where the really good stuff happens. But anybody can attend, and I'm happy to share with, Pat's on our mailing list, right? Aren't you?
I think so.
I think you are. Harley is. Any of you can be. Let's see what we have here. Lisa's not using her mouse. How about this? Any of you can go. This is our website. The way it looks is based on how big my resolution is, which is like 110%. But you can always sign up for our emails. Oh, yeah, no internet. Oh, yeah, that was a stupid idea. Oh, I can't go back now because there's no internet. Well, that was dumb. Here, you can visit there's our Blue Sky page. You can sign up for our emails, our email newsletter. You can unsubscribe from our email newsletter anytime you want, but you're not going to get a lot, because that would mean more work for me. If you guys have one, I,
We don't have a newsletter at this point.
it's fairly easy to do. Now, I am no graphics designer.
Your graphics are good.
They're colorful.
Yeah.
And they're kind of bold. That's kind of me, but not particularly professional. And you see me, I'm all worried and upset about it. I don't really like it when I make something and then you go and present it and it's like off the screen or not where it's supposed to be, and then I'm like, I'm such a doofus. But there's a small learning curve. I think there's also constant contact. I think is another one of those e-newsletter programs, of which I think there's a free one. Did I close that entirely? I think I can do quite a bit with throwing graphics into, is that it?
You did really well in the presentation.
Yeah, and I'm this person who's like, oh my God, there's so much there, I can't possibly see that. Well, I'll just give you the slide presentation, and you can see it for yourself. Happy to share.
Are there any other questions before we wrap up? Okay, hang on a second.
But
We'll get down
again, you guys are always welcome.